Samurai Sam wants to know a true fact about professional wrestling. God. All right. Here's a true fact about professional wrestling. I'm going to tell you the story of Jake Hager's hat. So Jake Hager is a professional wrestler. You may know him as Jack Swagger, but his name is Jake Hager, and he currently wrestles as Jake Hager. Jake Hager, both in real life and in pro wrestling, is good friends with Chris Jericho. Okay? To the point where when Chris Jericho debuted in AEW at the very first AEW show, Jake Hager was there. And on the very first episode of AEW Dynamite, when Chris Jericho formed his first stable, the Inner Circle, one of the dudes who was in it was Jake Hager. Jake Hager has been Chris Jericho's running buddy for the last 4 years, basically, which is a long goddamn time in professional wrestling. For Jake Hager to be for any one guy to be allied and closely related to any other guy, but Jake Hager has been close friends with Chris Jericho, both IRL and in storyline, since the day AEW started. Okay? Now here's something else that you might not know about Jake Hager. He's fucking boring. He's somewhat entertaining, and he's a decent enough wrestler, but he's just kind of fucking boring. He's okay. He has good matches sometimes. He has bad matches sometimes. He says interesting things sometimes. He says entertaining things sometimes. But more often than not, he's just fucking boring. And a lot of the time, he's a big fucking lug. He's a big slab of Oklahoman wrestle-muscle who stands behind Chris Jericho and looks intimidating while Chris Jericho's talking. Or who beats the fuck out of a guy while Chris Jericho is running from the guy, not beating the fuck out of the guy. Or who gets fed to a guy so that the guy cannot beat the fuck out of Chris Jericho. He is, in very many ways, Chris Jericho's mook. It's his lot in life. Not everyone can be a main eventer. Not everyone can be a world champion, although in some lesser organizations, Jake Hager has won world titles from, ironically enough, Chris Jericho, but I digress. Not everyone's a top of the top guy. That's just true. Jake Hager's had one AEW world title match in his career. It was, and I'm not exaggerating this, literally the Dynamite after they locked everything down for COVID. And they switched and they went to Jake Hager because they didn't fucking have anyone else. And Jon Moxley, who was the AEW World Champion at the time, beat Jake Hager like a chump. Because at the end of the day, Jake Hager's just kind of a chump. But he's a fine chump. He's not obviously he's not a tremendously obvious terrible person, even though he's a large white male professional athlete from Oklahoma. So, like, demographically, odds aren't great, but he's not loud about it, at least. So, you know what? He sticks around. He's vaguely entertaining. He's inoffensive. It's fine. Well, one day, Chris Jericho's stable, the Inner Circle, broke up. And Jake Hager kind of drifted around with nothing to do for a while. And then, Chris Jericho formed another stable, the Jericho Appreciation Society. And the Jericho Appreciation Society's gimmick, in addition to being, well, appreciators of Chris Jericho, is that they're all about sports entertainment. Because in All Elite Wrestling, the easiest way to get heel heat is to in any way suggest that WWE is good. You see, fans, the _Goog is not alone in his belief that WWE is bad and sports entertainment is bad. No, for you see, the Jericho Appreciation Society are sports entertainers. And Jake Hager, good close friends that he is with Chris Jericho, is in the Jericho Appreciation Society. However, as previously stated, he's one, fucking boring, and two, a big old lug. He is, to coin a phrase, a galoot. Okay? That's an even better term than mook or lug. He's a galoot. Okay? Jake Hager is just... Actually, I think the best descriptor for him was the first one. He's a big, meaty slab of Oklahoman wrestle-muscle. Which is fine and all, but it's not really an entertaining personality, and it's not a sports entertainer. So what did Jake Hager do when he suddenly found himself in this stable of guys who were supposed to heelishly, prickishly, obnoxiously play up the fact that they're sports entertainers? Well, he got himself a whole bunch of doofy outfits, which is what you do when you're a galoot. He got himself a whole bunch of big doofy outfits, including some truly obnoxious shirts, absolutely horrible swim trunks and shorts and jorts and all of that, and a purple floppy canvas beach hat. Just like, there's no other descriptor for it. It's floppy, it's purple, don't take that out of context. It's a purple floppy canvas beach hat, okay? It's the kind of thing that you would see some over-muscled lifeguard with a slab of oxided sunscreen on his nose wear to the beach so he can ogle babes and ostensibly protect people's lives. He's not really there to protect people's lives, but I digress. And Jake Hager, he just wears this hat. Wears it to the ring. He wears it to look menacing in backstage interviews. He just wears the hat. And eventually, someone in some promo was yelling at Chris Jericho and the Jericho Appreciation Society, and he made fun of Jake Hager's stupid hat. Because let's be honest, folks, it's a stupid fucking hat. Okay? And Jake Hager, he got really offended. He got mad. He looked that man right in the face. He got up in that guy's grill, and he said to that man, "I like this hat." He was very insistent. He liked the hat. That's all there is to it. Why does he wear the hat? He likes that hat. Well, it kind of became a thing. He kept wearing it to the ring. People kind of popped for the hat. When Jake Hager took his hat off, you knew Jake Hager meant business. And hey, Jake Hager meaning business is kind of scary for a guy, because he is a big meaty slab of Oklahoman wrestle-muscle. And when you get a big meaty slab of Oklahoman wrestle-muscle very mad at you, some bad things happen. Let's see if I can find a picture of Jake Hager's hat real quick so that we can show the folks, so that we can properly get the sensation of what we're looking at here. This is goddamn perfect. This right here is exactly what I mean when I say Jake Hager's hat. Here we go. Open image in new tab. We're gonna go right here. Jake Hager bucket hat. Jake Hager purple bucket hat. .png. It's JPEG, but still, my point stands. Observe Jake Hager's hat. Okay? This is Jake Hager. That is his hat. He likes that hat. Okay? So when Jake Hager takes his hat off, people get scared. People know shit's about to go down. When Jake Hager's hat gets knocked off accidentally, oh, you better watch out, because after all, I like that hat. Well, funny thing happened. A couple of weeks ago on Dynamite, this jackwagon by the name of Don Callis approached Chris Jericho with a proposition. And all you really need to know about Don Callis is that he's an old Canadian wrestling promoter who used to be a Canadian wrestler and was once tag team partners and is also longtime friends with Chris Jericho. These days, he's a manager, he's in a feud with Kenny Omega, it's a whole thing. So Don Callis says, "Hey Chris, I'm putting together a group of guys. We're going to be called the Don Callis family. And I want you, Chris Jericho, to be in my family." And Chris Jericho thought about it because Don Callis is his friend after all. But at the same time, he's got the Jericho Appreciation Society. He's got Cool Hand Angelo Parker, his right-hand man. He's got Daddy Magic Matt Menard, who's always talking about things that make his nipples hard. But I digress. And he's got Jake Hager, his muscle, his lug, his galoot, his right-hand man, his big meaty slab of Oklahoman wrestle muscle. Yes, Chris Jericho has two right-hand men. He has two right hands. It's a weird form of ambidextrousness, but I digress. So this past week on Dynamite, Chris Jericho's still thinking it over, and Don Callis lays on a real heavy sales pitch, talking about how back in the day when they were working for a promoter by the name of Bad News Allen said to Jericho and Callis, "You boys need to stick together and work hard, and as long as Don Callis and Chris Jericho are together, nothing will stop them, right?" So Jericho's thinking about this offer from Callis, and Jake Hager knocks on his dressing room door. And he comes in all sullen looking. And he says to Chris, "You're not really thinking about taking this offer up, are you?" And Jericho looks at him and says, Yeah, I am." And Jake Hager pauses, long, has himself a good think, and he takes off his hat. And he gives the hat to Chris Jericho. And he walks out of the locker room. Jake Hager likes that hat. But he likes Chris Jericho more, goddammit. It's a true fact about professional wrestling. AEW got a dramatic crowd gasp out of this dude taking off this hat and giving it to another dude. AEW is a good company. Hey, thanks for watching. Here's the stream schedule. If you want to click some buttons, it would help a lot. And if you don't, fine, go away.